Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk About Houses. I'm Todd.
I'm Oana.
Okay, so today we're going to talk with, this is like a video, it's like two videos in one.
Ooh,
So,
two for the price of one.
Two for the price of one. So the first part of the video, we're going to talk about where people are moving. We have this really cool graph, which states are hot, like people moving to, which states people moving away from. And then the other one is the numbers of people every year moving to Las Vegas. We have many years, we have projections to talk about people coming to Vegas.
Cool beans, let's go.
Okay, so let's first put the chart up. And then, so you have something to look at. You're just not looking at us. And we'll hit some of the states. We'll talk about why people are moving. Okay, Oana. So chart's up there. They're looking at it.
Okay.
So we have the blue. Anything blue means people are inbound. It's an inbound state. People are moving there. If it's dark, more people are moving. And if it's yellow, people are leaving.
Right.
Now, this is not surprising that California, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio, people are leaving.
Right.
But what I'm surprised here is it doesn't show, and then the blue states here are Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, like everything except for Georgia, which we know Georgia's hot, right? And then New Mexico, that's weird. And then why isn't Texas blue? So let's talk in terms of, first of all, why are people moving? What are the kind of the main reasons?
Okay, so people are moving for a variety of reasons, but the top two reasons are about a third are moving for quality of life. By quality of life, I mean number one is family, and number two, maybe being closer to the beach or closer to some amenity like that. But the larger portion is that people want to be close to family. And then the next big portion of people are moving for a traditional reason like jobs, right? So when you combine those two, when you combine family and jobs, about 70% of people are moving because of those two reasons. The other 30%, they're moving for a variety of reasons that are not as interesting because there are a whole bunch of reasons in there. What's interesting to me about this, remember, this is United Van Lines, so it's just their numbers.
No, they don't know that. They're just hearing it.
Oh, sorry.
So why don't you explain where the state, because that's the next thing is, this data, people are going to say, wait, we know from your videos there's a lot of people going to Georgia and Texas. Why aren't they blue?
Okay, so here's the thing. This chart is just showing United Van Lines. And the way United Van Lines calculates this, and they do this every year, they're looking at if 55% are going out of a state, then that state is outbound. If 55% are coming in the state, then that state is for inbound. But this is just United Van Lines. So you can extrapolate from that maybe that goes across all movers, or you can also consider that maybe there are other moving companies that are offering maybe better deals to some of these other places, and maybe that's what's going on.
Yeah.
Certainly when you're looking between like California and Nevada, a lot of these people are coming via U-Haul because it's a short haul, no pun intended. So you kind of have some of that going on. So this is kind of nice to kind of get a bird's eye view of what might be happening in the country, but I question its overall accuracy.
Yeah, and keep this in mind too. Baby boomers are going to be, and older, are going to be the ones using United Van Lines, and maybe Gen Xers that have big families. Your, Gen Z, millennials, a lot of them are going to be still maybe single. They don't have a ton of household goods. They grabbed a U-Haul.
Right.
Or they just threw all the stuff in the back of their car, like my son did, and drove to Texas to take a software engineering job.
Right. So you make a really good point. That was one of the things that this article said was that in their survey, that's what they found, is that they found that their primary users were, to your point, baby boomers and Gen X.
Older Gen X, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because you don't use a van line. You don't go to a van line. If you have a corporate gig, that's one thing. But usually most people just throw all their stuff in a U-Haul, or, younger people don't have a lot of possessions. They just, and they tend to be single longer than they were maybe 30, 40 years ago. People were, so.
Right. Yeah. And then the other thing is, depending on what's going on, people may be shedding possessions and maybe using a different service that maybe offers a better deal with a more limited amount of belongings. The other thing is that, what's popular here in Las Vegas is all the pods. That's what we see here, is we see people putting all their stuff in pods and then having the pods shipped off. And pods that's a separate company.
And the thing too is, remember, their data is going to be spotty if they don't serve those areas. So that's why. And now this is that you probably think, well, why don't we have more accurate data? Well, the truth is, there's no real good source to track this. I'm going to put up the Vegas data here because the Vegas data is really interesting. So this is the population trends for Las Vegas. You can see the growth if you start at the bottom. I have cities over on the right or the left, but ignore that. It's on the left is what we're looking at. Las Vegas historical population data. And you can see the growth rate per year. We were growing at like 3 to 4%. Now we're growing at like 2% a year. But even 2% of 3 million people is 60,000. And I know have a couple pieces of data about this.
Ooh.
Okay, the first is that the DMV estimates about 5,000 people a month are getting a new driver's license.
Well, meaning, but that's in keeping with the 6,000 people. I'm sorry, the 60,000 people a year, which is the 2%.
Right, but remember, kids don't get driver's license.
Well, so I don't know how much they're counting population as far as kids. I tend to think that when they're looking at these population numbers, they're not necessarily looking at minors. They're generally looking at adults.
Yeah. The other thing that was interesting was I did a deep dive in that thing, why people, and I pulled up, you can go in that chart and pull up actual cities and everything. The reason people came to Las Vegas, one was they thought it would be fun to live here, entertainment. Two was there were jobs here. And three was the cost of living, cost of home prices, everything was relatively low compared to where they were leaving. Now imagine, I know for sure that the LA and San Fran Californians were coming here in droves.
Well, Californians have always come here in droves. I mean, Northern Nevada has been in a constant influx of people from Northern California for forever and a day, and Southern Nevada from people from Southern California. So this is the way it's always been for us. Yeah,
and I said on another video that there were tens of thousands of people moving to Las Vegas. They're coming every month. And I think that got misconstrued to the tens of thousands of people move here every month, which is not what I meant to say. What I was saying is tens of thousands of people come to Las Vegas. It's actually, if you look at some of these years, it was like 60, 70,000, but it's at least 60,000 people, if not more, because somebody had commented on a video about all of the builders in Las Vegas have 4,000 houses that they can't sell. Well, remember, we sell over 50,000 a year, so 4,000 is not going to do much to the market. Plus, remember, if we have 60,000 people moving here a year, they all have to live somewhere. So some new builder homes that either get turned into rentals or just get sold at some point in the future doesn't really. I think people are looking for reasons to why, to have a negative outlook on housing, right? They find some data and they pretend like it's like the foreclosures. There were 1,300 foreclosures filings last year in Las Vegas, right? But there were that many filings, but then there were only like 200 or 300 maybe foreclosures or something. It wasn't, and then they pretend like there was never a foreclosure in 2018, 19, 2017, all those other years.
Right. So, I mean, you're right. So according to the data, it's about 2% annually. It's about 5,000 people a month. Those 5,000, according to the DMV, are adults. Those 60,000, 2% annually is, by and large, I think, calculating adults. We are, of course, acquiring the younger folks who do not have driver's licenses yet, but I think those would be separate statistics.
What do they call those?
Children.
Children.
Yes.
They're children.
Or I call them the vertically challenged.
Vertically challenged.
Yes.
Right. They do not, they're not, actually get a driver's license, but you can't gamble.
Yes. Well,
you can get a driver's license, but you can't hit the
separate discussion.
Casinos.
So Clark County School District is really good about staying on top of that. They redistrict, bless their hearts, every April. So depending on where you are, there is a possibility that your child could go to high school, to multiple high schools throughout their high school career through redistricting. They try not to move existing students. They try to let those kids finish out and just put new students at different schools. But we do redistrict every April. So if you are looking for a home here in Clark County, keep that in mind, particularly in the springtime when you might see that, it's February right now, so you might see that that particular house is zoned for a particular school. please keep in mind that that could be rezoned in April. This is a really big deal, and this is something that affects a lot of people with children, that they think that they're buying a house that is going to be zoned for a certain school, and they find out when they go to register for the next school year that, oh no, by the way, that zoning has changed. So please be careful with that.
Yeah, we actually had that happen where we bought a house that was zoned for a really nice high school in Summerlin, and then like 4 years later, they said, well, there's too many people over there, so we're moving your like whole square mile. You're adjacent to this other high school that's like way further east. We're moving your kids to that school. So there were a lot of people that were not upset or that were not happy with that, because they thought, well, my friends already go there and now I have to switch schools and go to this other school. And we actually had that year they did it. I mean, there were a number of people with kids, families that moved. They just said, well, we need to move like 2 miles that way.
Right. So kind of important things to keep in mind. So population movement is really interesting to track. We do track it. We are interested. If you're interested in population movement, if you think the graphs are cool,
if you think we're cool,
if we think we're cool, if you learn something about how our school district works, please like the video, share the video, leave us a note, hit the notification bell, and we will see you on the next video. Bye.
Bye.